Alrighty, so here we are, the final part of our video game music video review. So, we've played through the game a little bit, we've shown an example of what it looks like, and now we have our criteria to deal with. So here I've got all the criteria listed in that Word document, and what we want to do is we want to take all the stuff that we've done, and we want to actually just compile it all together into one video, right? We want to put it on, we want to put it in Movie Maker, and then, hopefully upload it to YouTube or Google Drive or something. And if you feel like it's really good, maybe you can make the video public, but, it's up to you. So thinking about what you just saw in the previous video and seeing these criteria, we have to think about how can we answer these. So hopefully you've put some thought into that, and then today I'm going to talk about actually making your video actually happen in Movie Maker. So how I'm going to do it is, first we'll talk a little bit about some of these answers or ideas we have, or sorry, that I have about these answers, and then I'll actually have to turn the webcam off for just a moment so that I can go into Movie Maker and then use the webcam to show you an example. So once I open up that Movie Maker application, you'll just have to watch very closely at what it is I'm doing. How am I adding in titles? How am I adding in captions? Those kinds of things. So if you just watch that carefully, I'm sure you can catch on. And for those of you who have Mac, you're obviously going to be using iMovie, and that program is not very hard to deal with. It's very user-friendly, and I think you'll have a much more easy time using iMovie than with Windows Movie Maker. So anyway, yeah. So let's take a look here. So criterion A, what's some things that I might say? How might I answer criterion A for what I saw, what I did, and everything? So it says, strand 1, why is there sound when the character jumps, especially when that sound doesn't sound like a real-life jump? Well, in the video we saw, there was a jumping sound, and it was that wolf or something like that in the battle, that creature, when it hopped towards you, and then it took it did the claw strike, right? And there are other sounds when your characters have to jump as well. We didn't experience those in the game. We would have had to play a lot longer, but anyway, they don't really sound like a real-life jump, but I think that's in there again to just give you a sense of satisfaction, to give you a sense that things are happening. And it's very important for a game to make you feel like you're doing something productive, as I talked about in the previous video, because if you're not, then you're not really, it feels like you're not really using your time wisely when you could be doing something else that's maybe more fun or something, especially for a game like this, which is just a very serious game. I mean, there's a lot of games that are more comedy-based or funny, but they have that going for them. This game doesn't really. It's a serious game. So there has to be a lot of elements there to keep you roped in. Number 2, is this a game which requires music? Yes, it definitely is. And it's exactly for the reason that I just said. It says does not include other sounds, just music. Can it get away without music? I don't really think so. Think about when you watch a movie, right? This game's very much like a movie. When you watch a movie, what you're seeing there is sort of a thing called a montage in a lot of movies. And a montage is a part of the movie which takes a long period of time, like perhaps it's a boxing movie, right? And so you have Rocky, maybe, the famous boxing movie, and he has to train up. And, well, they're not going to film him training for, like, hours and hours and then just let you just watch it. Like, oh, okay, he's punching a punching bag for an hour. Like, that's the most boring thing in the world to watch. Well, what a montage does is it shows several cuts of a long span of time in progress while it plays usually some kind of louder music over the top of it, maybe more upbeat or motivational music to help you get a sense of expediousness, or make you feel like that event is happening quickly, so that you're not just kind of sitting there like, okay. And if you look for it in movies, you'll find it all over the place. It's a very common technique in film. So I think that, let's say, when you're doing the battles in this game, that having that music there, even though it's very light and out of the way, is very crucial to the progression of the game and to keeping that player interested, especially because in this game you have to do a lot of battles, and in my opinion too many already. You have to do a grueling number of battles just to get through each phase of the game. So you gotta have that. You gotta have that there. And then number 3, is there any inherent relationship between music and video games? Well, I definitely think there is. So I think both of them, the act of playing video games and the act of playing music, right? Those are both something that involves fine motor skills, and what I mean by that is very exact, precise movements, exact, precise timings, and it requires a lot of attention too. And it's something that that sometimes if you're playing, now if you're not a musician, that's fine, right? But you can relate to this on any other level. If you're even if you're, let's say you're talking to somebody, let's say you're watching a movie, you're watching a show that you really like. If somebody starts talking to you when you're trying to do something, you instantly notice that your attention, your focus gets detracted from that main thing. In this case, playing music or playing video games. And you can't do it quite as well. So I think that's the relationship there. And I also think that the relationship is one of motivation, right? There's a certain motivation and a certain flow of emotions that go with the experiencing of music or the experiencing of video games, and for that reason they just really go hand in hand. And that's why even as early as the game Pong, you're seeing these sounds happening back then, and it's just that little bleep bloop sound, boop 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 boop, as the ball goes back and forth, but it adds so much to the game. Otherwise it would just be so boring. So there I've just done Criterion A, and I've gave some very long answers. I don't expect yours to be quite as long or as boring as mine, but that's just an example of some things you can do or you can say for your video review. If you don't answer every single question, it's not the end of the world. I'm not going to take off points for it, but I just want to know that you have really given your best in fully explaining most of all the strands that we have. So, okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually turn off the webcam, and I'm going to open up Windows Movie Maker, and I'm going to take that video that I did from last time, which is essentially just an intro, which just shows the introduction of the game with the sounds. And I'm going to put that into Movie Maker, and I'm going to put a title and a caption and all that, and then I'm going to try to record myself. So since I just did Criterion A here, I'll try to do Criterion B. And just show you the format that might be one that you can use. Now, not saying my format is the right format to use or the perfect one. You can do your own thing. But yeah, okay, so I'm going to turn off my webcam, and we're going to open up and take a look at Windows Movie Maker. Alright, give me just one moment.